Hello again, and it's time for another project. Today we're going to do a little bit of router work and scroll saw work on these 9 little bees, bumblebees, bees. Now the idea is to route out the areas in yellow, so we will route out that section and then the white inside the wings, and we'll do it on all 9 of them. Now some are a little bit small, as you can see, but we're just about squeezing there the best we can. Now on the bigger ones you could leave the antennae, are they? I don't know what they're called. You could leave those on, but once you get down to these small ones, there's no way you're going to cut around that with a scroll saw at either side and for it to be secure. It's just cheap fencing wood, remember, so it's all going to go outside in the end. So the idea is literally just to cut all these off as we go around with a scroll saw, and then we'll find some wire, coat hanger, welding rod, anything similar to that, and we'll cut little pieces off and then pre-drill into the head and literally slot in our bits of wire and put little curves on like that. Certainly going to be a lot easier than literally trying to cut around that with a scroll saw. Even though you've got your depth to it, that's just far too thin for anybody to cut, to be honest. So anyway, we'll move on swiftly. As always for me, I've spaced them all out. Make sure I've got no knots involved in my little cuts. I've got my carbon paper, as always. It's just a simple case of popping that underneath there. I draw around it with a pen, just so I can see it better. You can use a pencil. I've been known to go around with a screwdriver once when I couldn't find anything else. And we've done that on all of them, obviously. So there's our little templates, our little pattern, should I say, ready to route out. Now, you could just route it out quite simply by removing this section and that section and the wings, like I said. We'll do that first just to see what it looks like, and if I'm not happy with it, I will just skim over the whole body just so it lowers it down maybe a mil or two, just so those wings stand up a little bit higher. Now it's not important, but we'll see what it's like once we've removed the wings and the 2 sections in the body. Once we've done all that, obviously we'll get a scroll saw and literally go around these and cut them all out so they're all freestanding, and then we'll put them on the side of the shed in different positions and spread them about a bit. If you wanted to, you could fill this in a little bit more and leave it all on the board completely. We're going to cut them out today, so router work and scroll saw combined. And remember, you can use those over and over again. Some people can route through the paper, but that's the end of your template. For routing purposes, as always for me, these little CNC bits, they come in a pack of 10 like that. Readily available on eBay or Amazon, really cheap, and I've certainly got no issues with them. I don't know if you can see from there, that one's a 15 degree, that's what we'll be using today. You can just see the difference in the head on that one. I don't know if you can actually see it, I do apologise. That's actually a 30. So there's a slight difference. I'm going to go for a 15 because I just basically want it to cut straight down into the wood. We don't need to go too deep. Okay, for that we're going to need the adapter collet as always, which is at 6.35mm. These are 3.175mm like a Dremel. They will fit in a Dremel if you want to use a router attachment. And we'll just slot that into the silver end. Remember, you want the dark end, that goes into your router. That's 1/4 inch, that'll fit the router no problem now. Okay, we'll set a little depth that we want. We can do a little practice piece on any of this because all this is going to be wasted at the end and cut away. Once we've gone round all the line work, as we always do, some of these smaller ones, like these little guys down here, I'll literally just do that with the CNC bit. But on the bigger ones, we'll put a mill end bit on. If it's coming off easy enough with the CNC bit, I've been known to clear all that out with basically one of those. It flies off really fast, no problem. If not, we'll pop on, as always, end milling bits. They fit the same collet, remember, so just a case of removing that, popping that into there, up to that plastic barrier. They're a new thing, them barriers. Up to there, set it to the same depth, and we'll literally just remove all the wings and them 2 yellow sections there. Okay, just to make sure we don't make a mess up, Just shade off the areas that we're going to remove, which will be that one, and so on, and so on. And then the wings, and then the wings. That way, you're not going to come back a bit later and maybe start routing out the wrong sections. Okay, let's set this router bit up in the router. Right, we've gone all the way around the lines with our little 15-degree CNC bit, remember, as you can see from that. Like I said previously, these sections, that all came out with the CNC bit. The good thing about this fencing wood, it does come out fairly easy. So we did all that with the CNC bit. A couple of them little smaller ones down there. Now it's still rough, remember. We're going to go around this with a Dremel and an engraving bit, just to tidy it all up generally before we cut it out. Okay, so that's it for your CNC bit. Like I say, you could have done all that with that. It would have popped out, no problem. And it's good practice if you want to just use your CNC bit a little bit more. But however, since we've mentioned them, we are going to put on one of these end milling bits. Like I've said before, they fit the same adapter. We just want a nice size one that we can fit down inside these wings, especially on these bigger ones will be fine. So we'll pop that in. Obviously it's just a simple case of sliding that out. The good thing about these ones, they do have that barrier on now on the newer versions, and so you just push it up to that. We'll pop it in. We'll set it to our sample depth, which was there, remember, or any of these you could set it to. That's the one I decided to go for. So we'll set it to the same depth and we'll literally start clearing this one out. We'll do that next. Okay, we've made it round in one piece. As you can see from that, everything's still intact. We haven't lost anything. Those little ones have been done. Still want a little bit of tidying up. Now originally I was going to route out the body section just to lower it down slightly, just so the wings were a little bit higher. But then by the time I've painted around here in black, and that's all black, and obviously that's going to be painted black, you're not really going to see that difference in height. I mean, we're talking maybe 1mm to 2mm. So I think we're just making a lot of work for the effect that we were after. So I'm just going to leave that as it is, flush. They're just nice little easy projects that we're going to throw on the side of this shed. So it's definitely easier for painting wise, because all we're left to do is paint inside there yellow, inside the wings white, and then we can sand over it all and then just basically paint all the rest black, and we'll see what it looks like. Just before we cut it out with a scroll saw, I'm just going to give it a general tidy up. As always for me, I like to use a flexi cable on a Dremel or a rotary tool, and I like to use these cheap engraving bits. If you're putting engraving bits on eBay, you'll get plenty of these, and they cost next to nothing. And I like to get one with a flat base on, like so. Don't know if you can see that. There we go. And literally just going to go inside these now and just tidy up these edges while it's in one piece, and then we'll basically cut it out and then give it a little bit more sanding down, just to give it a little bit of shape. It won't be over the top. These little ones, they'll be quite a little bit too thick, so we might slit them down half the size of those, but we'll see how that looks once we've cut them out. Okay, general tidy up, and then we'll get onto the scroll saw side of things. Right, we've done our general tidy up. It's just general, just to clean inside those wings and the body. As you can see, we will be sanding this down again with a mouse sander to remove our paint at the top, and we'll just generally round it off slightly. So we've got a bit more cleaning up and playing about with yet. But for now, the next stage is to cut them out on a scroll saw. I'll just quickly, there are 3 different types of blade. There's fancier blades and fancy names from all, but the basic blades are a pin blade, like so, obviously called a pin blade because it does have a pin at both ends. They're on your more basic and cheaper models. They just clip on the scroll saw like that. Remember, you want the teeth towards you, and it wants to feel smooth on the way down and rough on the way up. That way you know you've got your blade in the right way. Now they're okay. We could use this one today because it's all outer cuts, as we call it. No problem whatsoever. Now if you're going to cut inside these wings that are really small areas that we can't get in with a pin blade, you can use pinless blades. They're more for your fancier saws. Same again, teeth at the front, smooth on the way down, rough on the way up. They're ideal if you're doing a lot of intricate cuts, if you have to really get into small areas where it requires a pinhead kind of drill. Now I personally like to use these scroll saw blades, spiral blades should I say. On my old Drapper I have to use adapters, and they will also be used for the pinless blade. Good thing about spiral blades, they cut in any direction, whereas the other two, the blade is facing towards you. You've got to feed your wood into the blade and turn it and feed it and turn it and feed it. Whereas with a spiral, and they're not for everybody, we can literally just start off here, let's say, and just go like that with the wood and just feed it round. No turning the wood whatsoever. Ideal if this was going to be a big piece like this and you need to turn it round on your saw. You obviously got no space to move it. But it's a personal thing. I just like the spiral blades. A lot of people won't touch them, so it's entirely up to you guys. Okay, let's pop this one on the scroll saw and quickly cut these out. Right, we've cut those all out with the scroll saw. No problem. We're just going to general tidy up, just get rid of these fuzzy bits around the edges here, and general smoothing down. Remember, the old piece is going to be painted eventually at the end, so we're not going to go too crazy with the sanding down. Right down to the little ones. Same again on the back. We'll just generally tidy up now. Flex the cable again, a couple of sanding drums on, good old sandpaper, and we'll just generally tidy these up before we go to the painting side of things. Right, that's all our little bees done. I've sanded and cleaned them up the best we can. Near enough what I want. They're all going to get put on the side of the shed. So for painting wise, just cheap acrylics or painted structure paints. Literally yellow in the body, white in the wings. And then we'll just put black over the full top and just do the sides. And that's it. So I'll go off and paint these. We'll come back when we've sprayed on a bit of crystal clear. Just give it a little bit of a shine and protection. And this little project shall be finished. Okay, I'll come back later when these have all been painted. Okay, that's it. These little projects are over. Now, some of the bigger ones, I literally just routed out a nice T-slot in the back, and that's ideal for hanging up. Literally, your screw will go into there, and you can slide that across, and that will be nice and secure. With the smaller ones, we literally just couldn't get in there. So I basically just drilled an hole straight through the centre. It looks a bit savage, but once the screw's inside, you can't see that. And you can also just dab on a bit of black paint on top of that if it really bothers you. And that's just enough to secure it to the side of the shed or wherever you're going to end up putting them. Now, originally, I was going to put the antennae things, whatever they are, that stick out the top of the head. It's just a little bit too fussy for me. There's different ways. You could put wires in there. Even these small nails, you could have nailed them in there, put curves on and painted them black. And obviously for the smaller ones, you could have gone right down to these smaller nails, just nailed 2 in there and painted them black. But it's just a little bit too fussy for me. They're not that kind of detailed project. So I'm quite happy just to leave these as they are. In the end, I did away with the black idea. I did put boiled linseed oil on there, just to darken it down a bit, as you can see. And we've got a lovely shine on there. That's with our crystal clear, 3 or 4 coats of that. Just basically for the shine. And we've painted a little bit tinge of orange in there, just to give it a bit more detail, I'm going to call it. And there we have it. So we've got 9 little bees, ranging from good size one to the smallest one of the bunch. All made on fencing wood, remember. So just cheap wood. And that's it. This little project is complete. We're going to put one on the shed now. Thank you very much for watching.